Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
What day is it today? Thursday? Okay. All of today's guests, including Thomas Drance, standing by in California. Is he by himself? Are brought to you by the Vancouver Giants. Vancouver Giants season ticket packages are now on sale. All season ticket packages now include access to WHL Live, so you never miss a game, as well as the first 2 home playoff games, plus flexible payment plans are available with no additional costs. For more info, email sales at vancouvergiants.com or call 604-4-GIANTS. You know what? I have to say this just before I get to Thomas.
Yeah.
Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox.
Hopping.
There are all sorts of people who are into what Ryan is doing today.
Yeah.
And that's going, having dinner, going to a concert, a movie by yourself.
I couldn't do it.
Dan in Oak Bay, Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. Taylor, party of one. Not bad.
Party of one.
If we had a prize for best submission, you might win it.
That's it.
Dan. The Athletic, Thomas Drance, he joins us now. Pardon me, Thomas Drance from The Athletic, although I'm sure you are athletic. Joins us now from, look at this. Oh, wow.
I am not athletic.
You're so California.
We knew that.
Yeah, I'm not athletic, but I am on vacation.
Really?
Yeah, welcome to my personal resort vacation. Thanks for having me, boys.
Looking good. I like it, Thomas. I like it.
Thanks, buddy.
I like it. I really,
I stole it from your wardrobe.
Yeah.
His Friday wardrobe.
Yeah.
Are you by yourself, Thomas, on vacation?
No, I've got my dog here. Actually, he's right there. Look.
Oh, okay. Beautiful.
Oh, very nice.
What's your dog's name?
And my wife's here as well.
The dog have a name?
Wallace.
Wallace.
Wallace. I like that. Wallace.
What a
Wallace.
well-behaved dog.
What a nice dog.
He's better behaved than the person beside me.
Yeah, and he takes 3 scoops of kibble. Rick has 2 scoops every morning, so there's nothing.
Hey, Thomas, why is Mike Yeo? This is a tough transition. We're going to do it. Why is Mike Yeo no longer a part of the Canucks organization?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, sounds like it was a 1-year offer. Not exactly the club sort of backing up the Brinks truck, as it were, to prioritize keeping him. But, I'm sure there's interesting opportunities for him closer to home. We know he's got the relationship with Craig Berube, the new head coach in Toronto. I saw Bruce Garriock report that he's interviewing to potentially be part of Travis Green's staff in Ottawa. I don't think there's a past connection there, but certainly given how Green's experience went the last time he was a head coach, bringing someone in with some experience running the PK, which I thought Yeo did a really good job of doing in Vancouver, that makes a ton of sense to me. So, look, at the end of the day, Adam Foote's the only full-time assistant now on the Canucks staff. I'm sure they'll need to bring someone in. You'd like to see them bring someone in with some similar stature and experience as what Mike Yeo has, and it'll be fascinating to see how they fill out that staff. Losing Mike Yeo, losing Jeremy Colleton, by no means fatal, but that's a fair bit of coaching talent, some highly regarded people, and some people that were handpicked by Alvin in the summer of 2021, departing the organization in quick succession. Certainly some big shoes to fill for Manny Malhotra and whoever they bring in to replace Mike Yeo.
Well, Yeah, I was just going to ask you, who from the Penguins organization will be filling Mike Yeo's shoes, Thomas? Do we know?
No, not yet. We'll see. There's definitely some names available. Penguins West, though. I mean, Mike Yeo was a Penguin, right? Mike Yeo was on Bilesma's staff. Yes. I guess that's the other one to watch, too, right? There's ties between Yeo and Bilesma, the new head coach in Seattle, just down the I-5. So lots of connections for Mike Yeo in the league. You can understand why. Certainly, if he wasn't satisfied with the offer the club made, a mutual parting of the ways would be the way to go.
Thomas, a lot of talk this week about UFAs and RFAs, free agents, who's coming back, who's not. Hey, look, this team could look very the core is going to be back. We all know the core is going to be back. But the surrounding the core, it looks like we could have a lot of new faces in this Vancouver lineup next year.
I think we will. And by the way, I don't think that's something to be afraid of. On the one hand, between now and July 1, Rick, right, there's going to be a lot of conversation. Can they afford Nikita Zadorov? Can they afford Teddy Bluger? Can they make a bid for Elias Lindholm, or has he priced himself out, on and on? And look, I don't want to minimize the fact that this was a team that had guts, that captured the imagination of the Vancouver market, right, and that played very well, like punched above their weight as a group. I can see the logic to trying to get the band back together for another run, given how this season went. And yet, on the one hand, obviously it's tough when you've got this many expiring deals. On the other, I think it's a meaningful opportunity. This team needs to be better. I don't think it's enough to return the same group, especially given that basically to a man, they've all put themselves in a really strong position to get significant raises, maybe even above market rate raises come July 1. I think changing up this mix, prioritizing making a big swing for a star top six forward, adding speed to the lineup, as Patrick Alvin sort of noted, maintaining at least some center depth, but also, and some size, but also upgrading this defense core. For me, at the same time that it's going to be a challenge for the Canucks front office this offseason, there's also a ton of opportunity and a ton of flexibility to help this group take another step forward, to even further upgrade the supporting cast. To me, that's kind of the task at hand here. It's not so much about keeping this team together, it's continuing to improve it, and the club will have some means to do so, provided that they're aggressive and creative the way they were last summer.
A lot of what they're doing right now is trying to create cap space. They're trying to move Mikheyev. They tried to move Mikheyev at the trade deadline. Yep. But in order to get rid of a bad contract, you got to throw in a sweetener. And they don't have a first or second round draft pick. Their draft capital situation right now is not good, Thomas. How hard is it to get around that?
Yeah, and even the Tucker Pullman contract, right? Yeah. It's not going to count on the books because it's likely to spend the year on LTI, but it prevents the team from tolling daily cap space throughout the season, something that I know is a sore spot for both Alvin and Rutherford when they consider their planning. And yet, I don't think this club's going to part with draft picks to acquire cap space. I think if they trade futures, if they trade a top prospect, if they trade draft picks, I think it's going to have to be for players that can help them now. And by the way, I think they're going to be open to do that. I think that's something the club will consider as they approach the draft and as they consider their options this offseason. But it's going to have to be for players. I don't think they can afford to spend on, incentivizing someone to take Ilya Mikheyev's contract. And I don't think they can afford to buy it out, especially with, what's coming down the pike with Oliver Ekman-Larsson's buyout costs significantly increasing over the next couple of years. So, it's a tough one. I honestly think the club is comfortable returning Mikheyev and counting on him to bounce back is at least, a good third line player, if not a reliable source of top six offense. They're still going to have mid-20s million cap space, even with Mikheyev on the books. Carving out more flexibility, that would be great, especially if you're going to consider something like extending Elias Lindholm. But, for the most part, I don't think the club has the appetite. In fact, I know the club doesn't have the appetite to part with futures unless it's bringing back a player that can help them win both now and long term. So, the Mikheyev thing, we'll see. I won't be surprised at all if he returns. I would be surprised by a buyout, and I would be surprised if this club's willing to pay sweeteners just to enhance their cap flexibility. If they're paying sweeteners, it's because they're landing a main target to help them in the top six or on the back end.
Yeah, maybe Martin Necas. Hey, Thomas, you brought up Oliver Ekman-Larsson. What do you think of the way he's playing for the Florida Panthers at the most important time of the year?
Yeah, I love it. I'm happy for him. I was rooting for him just because I know it didn't go well for him in Vancouver, but make no mistake, that is a gentleman, right? He was a gentleman. He carried himself well. He was accountable for his struggles. He took it hard. He wanted to play in Vancouver. He wanted to play in Vancouver when it was good. And it never was. It never was for him. He was never going to be able to live up to a $7.26 million cap hit or whatever the Canucks, whatever he represented on the Canucks books after the Coyotes retained some to facilitate the trade. But Oliver Ekman-Larsson at 2.25, hey, that's a totally different matter, right? Oliver Ekman-Larsson, if you're counting on him to stabilize your top four or even your top pair, I think that's a little tough. But on your third pair at 2.25. He still has some game, and I think being healthy all offseason really helped him find it. I'd add this just as like an instructive lesson, right? Oliver Ekman-Larsson at 2.25, that's 2 thumbs up from every Panthers fan in the world. Oliver Ekman-Larsson at 7.26, that's 2 thumbs down last season from every Canucks fan in the world. And this is instructive, too, as the Canucks consider their options with, Zadorov, Ian Cole, Bluger, go down the list, right? Like, there's so many players that were useful for the Canucks when they were making $3 million for 1 year, or $3.5 million for 1 year, or $900K for 1 year, or $1.75 for 1 year. But if it's 2.5 for 4, if it's 6 million times 5, if it's 7 million times 7 for Lindholm, man, the expectations change, and what you need from those players shifts dramatically. That's sort of, I think, the lesson from the Oliver Ekman-Larsson glow up in Florida this year as it applies to what the Canucks are facing this offseason.
And 2 thumbs up for you, Thomas, as we say goodbye for being named president of the Condo Association at Del Boca Vista.
Hey, gentlemen, if you want a timeshare, you know who to get at. It's your boy Drance. Let's go.
I'll call you on that.
I got to say, that shirt blows away anything you have.
No, that's
I'm not
nothing.
a Hawaiian
that's
shirt
nothing.
guy.
That's
No,
nothing, guys. I got 10 times better stuff than him.
That's
I
outstanding.
don't think it's about the quality of the shirt. It's about how good you look wearing it,
Yeah.
Why the hat, though? I don't get the hat.
Well, it's sunny
Hey, this hat, it's 39 degrees out here, and this hat is approved by the Skin Cancer Foundation.
Yeah.
So that's why. The hat is this is necessary desert wear down here, boys.
Oh, wow.
You're on your vacation, and you're able to join us. We can't thank you enough, Thomas. Thanks so much for this, sir.
Thanks for having me.